Hey everybody, I'm Brian with Knox Company, and I'm going to show you how to change out the brake pads on your 5th generation 4Runner. This is something that you can do yourself here at home. I got quoted at the dealership $650 to do the brakes on this. I'm going to show you how to do it for right around $100, even using premium brake pads. The longest part on this whole entire process is how you decide to remove these lug nuts. Once we get that off and we work inside on the caliper, it's very fast and straightforward. I'm going to show you the steps, and if you want to know how to do the rear brakes, I'm going to have a separate video showing you how to do that. There is a couple other steps on the rear. The front ones are very straightforward. Let's get to it. One of the first things you want to do is loosen up these lug nuts while the tire is sitting under the weight of the vehicle. That will prevent your wheel from turning on you. Once you loosen them up, you can lift it and remove it the rest of the way. I am going to be doing this manually with my lug nut key that I have here. This is a special set of lug nuts for these wheels, but I do think this is the most time-consuming part of the whole process. If you have a pneumatic tool or a power tool that you can take these off with, you'll save yourself a lot of time, but I'm going to be doing it manually. Next, you're going to lift your vehicle up. I like to use the cross member underneath there, or right here on the edge of the frame, you'll see a little flat space. You can put your jack underneath that, lift it up. Then once I have it up, I like to throw a stand underneath just as a safety. You don't really want to have all that weight just sitting on your car jack. So go ahead and jack it up, throw a stand underneath there, and you can let it down. Now we can come back over here, take these lug nuts all the way out. In case you're wondering, the bolt pattern on these 4Runners is 6 by 5.5 or 6 by 139.7. The wheels I have on this 4Runner are -12 offset, which means that it actually brings the whole tire and wheel out from the vehicle. I get that question a lot, so I figured I'd let you know. If you haven't already, hit like and subscribe. Let me know how you feel in the comments. And also, I finally got my website up, fortknoxcompany.com. I sell t-shirts on there that I design and I print myself. Everything that I sell has a flag on the sleeve, so it is a little patriotic, but it's just another way that you can support me and the channel. But either way, I appreciate you watching, so hit like, hit subscribe, or grab yourself a cool t-shirt. Now back to the build. Now, when we're going to work on these right here, I like to put a little container underneath because I will be spraying some cleaner. While you're down here, might as well clean off some of these parts. We're going to be cleaning off these bolts that go through and any of the pieces that we might be replacing. And before we get too far into it, just pay attention to the way that these pads are coming off. Some of them have identifying marks on the bottom showing you which way to face them. But you'll see on these new ones, they have the holes along the top. That's obviously going to be on the top here because the pins go through. You can't do that on the bottom. These would look a little funny if you flipped them upside down, but just pay attention to it. One of the things here too is they'll have these plates that will be removable. The premium brake pads come with all this together, so that's why I would recommend buying the ceramic premium. The cheaper ones are made out of usually like a metal composite. They might give you some squeaking. The ceramic ones are better. They're going to be a lot more quiet. They usually come with all the pieces that you need for replacing. They're already on here, so a lot easier to do, and they are a premium part. So the first thing we're going to be looking at is the way that this pin right here goes through. This is one of those pins right here that we'll be replacing. This one's still in good condition, so I'll probably just keep using the same one, but sometimes you can replace these as well. You'll see that this is pointing outward, and the top of the metal right here, the wire is on top. If for whatever reason you put this in backwards, you'll notice that this wire right here on top will not be able to sit here when you put it inside the pinhole right here. If for whatever reason this was facing inwards, it would rub against your brake and it'd make a lot of noise. So looking at this right here, we'll just take some needle nose pliers. We'll pull this pin out. Do the same thing on this side. And then we can twist this up. The next thing is this wire right here. This is pretty much your stock setup. It'll push through there, and it has a cotter pin style. It goes through, which keeps this from pushing out. This rod right here we're going to be removing. It goes into a hole right here and a hole right here. So the way that we get that out is we push this down and pull this out, and then we can pull this up. And again, right here, there's a little hole. We pull it out of that. We're going to be saving these. Next thing we can do is we can remove the pin. We're also going to be removing the bottom one, but this one is giving me a little bit of resistance. This is where we can come in and just spray this down a little bit. It cleans the parts off and helps us remove everything with less resistance. We're also going to be saving this. Now this next part is where I know I'm going to get some criticism. You have to be careful when you're pushing the fluid back through your brake system when you have an ABS system. It has the possibility of causing damage to your ABS system. It's not guaranteed. I've seen it done a million ways, but you can either bleed out your brake fluid and you can open up your brake fluid valve right here on the top and you can actually push it out bleed the fluid out, but you will have to replace your brake fluid in the system. One, you don't want to have any air in there. Two, you need to have enough fluid. I'm going to be pushing the calipers back, pushing the fluid back through the system. You have to be careful, do it nice and slow and take your time. They do make a tool that comes in here with 2 plates, and as you ratchet it, it pushes out. I'll put it here in the video. They run anywhere between $90 to $150. Again, I'm going to show you a different way to do it. This is just my way, but it's a way that you can do it without spending a lot of money on the tools. I'm going to be using a flathead screwdriver. I'm going to come in between the rotor and the brake pad, and I'm going to push towards the brake pad right here that I'm going to be replacing. I do not want to push in towards this caliper and take the chance of scratching the caliper. Light pressure, that's going to push the calipers right here. These 2 cylinders on both sides, we're pushing it back so we can pull these pads out. We're going to push them all the way to flat so it'll accept our new pads. When I get these out, I'll show you the difference of thickness that we need to create space for. So again, I will push here, and I'm going to push in, pushing the edge of this screwdriver towards the old pad. Just enough to put some pressure on it, both sides. You'll be able to see these 2 cylinders start to kind of squeeze in. I'll do the same thing right here. And I should be able to pull these out. I can even squeeze like this. I can squeeze in, and I'm trying to squeeze these cylinders down. Now, if you compare this pad to the new one, obviously we have some room to make up for. That's why we need to push these cylinders in. We're going to push them in to make them flat, and you want to give them some more space because we're going to be inserting these new ones. What I'll do is I'll take the plate off of my old brake pad, and I'll use that to help me push. And again, I'm going to push towards the brake caliper. So I'm going to use the edge of my screwdriver in here, and I'm going to push towards the brake rotor up against this so I don't damage my calipers. And again, I'm going to use my screwdriver with this as a little barrier. I'm going to push in, and I'm going to push off the edge of my screwdriver right here, and it's going to squeeze up against these 2 cylinders, but I'm using this to kind of protect them. I'm just using it as a plate to kind of allow some pressure. You'll see it starts to move in. I'll do the same thing up top. Just take your time with this. And I'm just using the edge of the screwdriver up against right here on the rotor, so I know I'm not scratching the rotor. So you can see we got these creating some good space right here. We're going to do the same thing right here. Now that we have those cylinders pushed back in, we have a lot more room right here to be able to accept the brake pads. I'm going to clean the 2 pins that go through. I'm going to clean the 2 different wires that we have here. Then I'll put some brake lubricant on there, and I'll put everything back together. Now, before we put the brake pads in, we're going to put a little bit of brake lubricant right here. This is just a little bit of the brake grease. We just put a little bit of brake grease right here. We're going to move that around. This is just to help kind of lubricate the areas where the brake calipers have contact. We're going to do the same thing on the pins that go through, but you put a little bit of this on the back, and then we can put these in. Now we can put these in with the holes on top. We will be lining these holes up. Same thing on this side. This is obviously going to be a very tight fit. Sometimes you can wiggle the rotor around a little bit, and it will let you have some room to get these in there. First thing before we put our pins through, we're going to put this clip back on. You're going to put these 2 edges right here on the inside. And again, this part of the metal should sit on top. So we'll line this up, and the pin's going to go through. Putting a little bit of grease on the pin. We can slide this one through. Make sure it goes underneath and through the clip. Then we can do the same thing for the top pin. just like that. Now for this to be able to line up, you're gonna have to rotate these pins on the top and bottom so that the hole lines up. That way you can put this pin through the hole, this pin through the hole, and you need this facing on the inside, and it will go through right here. And what this does is it works like a cotter pin so that these do not slide out. Sometimes they'll have replacement parts that are actually little clips and you can put them through. Those are good as well, but I'm gonna show you how to reinstall the one that the factory comes with. Got to go in the hole there, in the hole there, and we push it through like that. Lastly, again, this is sticking up. We're going to bring this over. It's going to sit on top right here and go right into this first hole. Same thing on the other side. It's going to go, see how this is below? I actually want this piece to sit on top. So you're going to sit on top and it's going to go right into this little hole on top here. This is sticking up and it's not rubbing up against your rotor. And that's it. Go ahead and do the same thing to the other side. Get your wheel back on, tighten down your lug nuts, make sure that they are torqued down to 85 pounds. Then you can go ahead and throw this thing on the road, pump your brakes real quick. I would just drive around the block and make sure that everything is recalibrated. Check your lug nuts one more time, make sure everything is nice and tight, and you should be good to go. And once again, thank you for watching. If you haven't already, hit the like button for me. Also, let me know if there's any other things that I missed. Maybe there's some other tricks to the trade that I didn't show you here. Share them down there in the comments. That way other people can see it as well. I also have some other videos on the channel talking about the wheel and tire setup, the suspension that we have, a couple other mods for these 4Runners. So check those out as well. But either way, I appreciate you watching and I'll see you on the next build.